And welcome back to Straight Talk. I'm Chris Willis in for Laurel Porter tonight. Portland Police Chief Mike Marshman returned to work this week. He was on leave for several weeks after allegations that he ordered a lieutenant to sign him into a training session that he did not attend. An initial investigation found Marshman did not violate any rules of the police bureau, and the mayor said he could return to work. I sat down with Chief Marshman in his office earlier this week.
It's great to be back because there's a lot of things going on in the city. Our budget work is going on right now for the next fiscal year. Summer's coming, so all the issues, pro and con, good and bad, that come with that, that's right around the corner. Plus I'm trying to not only figure out this summer's activities, but how's policing going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 summers from now. So to get removed for 3 weeks where I don't get any information to plug back in, I got to work really, really hard now to get caught up.
This may be an obvious question. Can that be a good thing? Sitting back for 3 weeks, not getting barotted with all this information. You've got a budget coming up. You got to get officers on board here. You've got all kinds of issues throughout the city. Did it give you a little perspective?
It did. It wasn't all negative. It does give me a chance to see just how fast this organization innovates, just how amazingly busy the officers and professional staff are, because it's a whirlwind, and when you're in that mix day in, day out, I tend to forget that. So it is a good perspective to see just how busy folks are in this organization trying to provide good police service for their community. So that's nice.
Last question on this topic, and then we'll move on. And again, not to talk specifics, but we have read and through other reviews that Chief of Police was hugely cooperative throughout this whole thing, was very forthcoming. All of these things matched up and couldn't have been more cooperative. My question is why was that so important to you?
Well, regardless if I think the process is good or bad, and regardless if I think the process can be improved upon, which I think it can for specifically the complainant in most of these instances, I think it's critical for the head of the organization, whoever that is at the time, to go through that process like any member of the organization. Internal legitimacy, to me, is crucial if we're going to provide good service to one another in the organization and to the community outside. So I need to go through that process just like everybody else. Now, going through the process now, I now have a more unique perspective, I would say, than looking at it from the outside, right? So
I think it sets a good example with officers. They think, well, if he does it, then I can do it. If he's held to that standard, I'm held to that standard.
Right. Yeah, that's my goal. Like today, the very first thing I did when I came back to work today is not come to this office, but to go to a roll call before officers hit the street and go, look, it's not fun. It's a process. I will try to make it better for all parties involved, but you can survive it if you can look yourself in the mirror in the morning and you know you're doing good work. That's what you rest your laurels on.
Let's talk about the work. You got the budget coming up. You've got, last I checked, and I haven't asked Pete specifically recently about this, but last I heard we need some cops in the city. We need to add some officers here. That's got to be a priority. We've had that Holiday Park shooting, so just a reminder that there's gang activity that comes front and center to this department. What are some of the challenges? What are some of the things that we got to get to work on?
So the first thing you mentioned was we need more officers, and we do. Our personnel division, since I took office, have done exceptional work at hiring officers, good quality candidates at a faster rate than normal. I think we're on track to hire maybe 20 more officers in the month of May. That's very, very good. They just need to sustain that year after year after year. But that's a good sign. The budget piece, we're expensive to provide policing service, but one of the mayor's main goals is economic prosperity for the community, for the city, and I agree with that. I think if you have a safe place where people can come, live, work, play, pray, wherever it may be, that helps his main goal. But to do that, you need police on the street interacting with the community. Plus, I think the city, or at least the police bureau, I should say, in the past, kind of goes budget year to budget year to budget year. I want to think 5, 10 years out. The city's growing. That's a good sign. I think it's a great place to live, and others do too, because a lot of folks are moving here. But that said, I would be remiss if I wasn't planning for not only next year, but 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now to put that foundation in place today. So there's a lot of stuff good things happening inside the organization to prepare for that.
We've heard the mayor say nationwide search for this spot, and has a timeline on it. I don't know if it was 4 months or whatever it is. I think it's a fair question to say, do you still want this job? And if so, what is it that makes you think you're a perfect candidate for it?
I would never say I was a perfect candidate.
Right, sure, but maybe some would.
Maybe, not me. I really, I have a heart for the city. I mean, I wish the stuff I know now, towards the end of my career, I knew when I was a day one police officer. Right? But who wouldn't say that? Yeah. I just have a passion for the city. Talking with the community, they love it here, and I don't know. We work with a lot of different communities, a lot of different cultures. I don't know of any person who doesn't want, when they go to bed at night, wherever that may be, to feel safe. Yeah. Right. That's one of many common bonds between cultures. Right. That's one of the things I want this agency to provide. Again, to bring people to live, work, play, pray in the city. Yeah. I mean, so Portland is unique, and I'm not from here. I've spent a lot of time here now, but it's unique. It's a unique town, in good ways. With that comes some unique challenges to policing. So to have somebody understand Portland. I think you have to be here for a while to understand the nuances of Portland. But again, to me, that's a unique challenge to give, hopefully, well thought of policing service to a town that has some unique expectations.
Sure. Portland Police Chief Mike Marshman, nice enough to sit down with us and share some of his thoughts. Finally tonight, we want to end with a new segment here on KGW. We're hosting regular policy debates between two familiar faces for anyone who follows Portland politics. KXL's Lars Larson and former City Commissioner Steve Novick. We call the segment Left Hook, Right Jab. Our own Joe Donlan stepped into the ring with these two for our first segment, talking about North Korea. Take a look.
Lars and Steve are with us tonight. We've spared no expense for this. We have the old school chess clock, and we're going to get after it. So we're going to start with tonight's topic. As North Korea flexes its military muscle with a parade of missiles and a failed test launch, how should President Trump respond? Lars, you're up first.
Joe, I've got to tell you, President Trump has to do something. For 25 years, Steve, we've negotiated, and the negotiations have taken us nowhere. Actually, they've taken North Korea somewhere. North Korea's gone from non-nuclear to nuclear, no missiles to missiles. And today, while North Korea threatens primarily Japan and South Korea, within a few years, North Korea will be able to have a missile that'll reach the west coast of the United States. That's too much of a threat. Talking hasn't solved that.
Well, Lars, what's interesting to me about President Trump's response to North Korea so far is that so far the response has consisted of abandoning his jobs program. Donald Trump has been saying over and over that China is stealing our jobs by manipulating its currency, and he's going to stop that and get our jobs back. Last week, suddenly he announces, I was wrong. China doesn't manipulate its currency. And when he was pushed on that, he said, well, I'm not going to criticize China when they're helping us in North Korea. Well, anybody who reads a newspaper would have known the United States would want to have China's help dealing with North Korea. So Donald Trump has now said that he's abandoning his job strategy because he didn't understand basic facts about the relationship between the United States, China, and North Korea.
Steve, I got to tell you something. The jobs are important, but what's more important than currency manipulation or trade is the existential threat that North Korea presents to us. North Korea is dangerous. They've set off 5 nukes in the last 10 years, and that little crazy man who runs that country is too dangerous to allow him to continue to do this.
I agree North Korea is a problem, but what's the solution? I listened to KT McFarland on your show, and basically her solution was we're relying on China to take care of it for us. And that does not, I mean, I hope she's right. I hope China will take care of all the problems in the world. But it's amazing that Donald Trump ran for president, apparently had some idea what he wanted to do about these issues. His big promise was we're going to get our jobs back from China. Now he abandons that at the drop of a hat. That's your president for you.
No, actually, he's not doing that. He is bringing jobs back. Jobs have come back. And we've had thousands of jobs that have been promised here. But the issue isn't jobs. The issue is that right now, China is massing troops on North Korea's border, and so is Russia. They're trying to make sure that they can apply pressure, and Donald Trump is applying pressure as well. We need to put more pressure on that country and stop just talking.
Again, Donald Trump's only solution so far is rely on the Chinese. And the currency issue is one of many issues where he's flip-flopped. He said it would be easy to take care of health care. Then he announced the other week, oh, I didn't realize health care was so complicated. He thought it would be crazy for Barack Obama to attack Syria. Then he realized he would get applause for doing it, so he attacked Syria. Donald Trump knows nothing about being president. All he knows about is being a reality TV star.
Steve Novick and Lars Larson. Straight Talk airs twice a week on KGW, Saturday at 4:30 p.m., Sunday at 6:30 p.m., just after NBC Nightly News. Laurel will be back next week. I'm Chris Willis. Thanks as always for watching.